Who wants to go fall in love?
I do.
It's very uplifting, I think.
Yeah. I feel like everyone's going to be walking out of the theater going, yeah!
Kind of like Slumdog Millionaire in that way. You see it and you feel like you've triumphed over something.
Yeah.
We got a question in the middle here. Jason, what attracted you to the movie?
Honestly, I mean, look, I love everything that Diablo writes, but what was special about the screenplay was particularly the confidence in the last act. I thought the last act was written so bravely, and it's one of those things, like any movie, you're just waiting for this character to change, and the fact that she doesn't, the fact that she reaches that moment and has this life realization and does not make the changes. It's oddly, it's similar to Up in the Air. I mean, it's a movie about someone who comes to a conclusion but doesn't act on it. And I think that is actually truer to life. And that got me excited.
Yeah, right here. Okay. I like that you said that's a compliment, because that's what I was thinking as well. I wanted to ask Ian, Diablo as well, that it was strange. It wasn't a traditional character arc for Mavis, as one would expect from watching a lot of movies, in that at the beginning of the movie, she's kind of a bitch, and at the end of the movie, she's still kind of a bitch.
Kind of a bitch, yeah.
So, I was wondering if you could explain how you saw her trajectory as a character and how she came about for me.
It was actually really, I'm really glad that you said that, because it was very important to me that she not have a traditional redemption arc like we constantly see in films, because I have this theory that, like, assholes don't actually change. Always do, and I find that kind of unrealistic. So I thought to myself, how about let's have somebody on the precipice of learning something about herself, and then she really doesn't, because we've all seen that play out over and over again with people we know. So that was really important to me, and in fact, I didn't think I would be able to get the script made in that incarnation, but luckily enough, Jason came on as the director and is, you know, such a wonderful, steady hand and so respected that everybody said, all right, if Jason wants to make a movie about a bitch, let's do it.
That echoed through Hollywood, those exact
Pretty
words.
much. We got a question over here.
Hi, this is for Diablo. I actually went to your school. Don't worry. Wait, several years after.
Oh, of course, after.
But and I definitely don't want to, you know, make the horrible assumption that the character is based on you. But yeah, no. But were you at all inspired by, you know, going to your own sort of high school reunion or going back or anything like that? No.
No, I feel like an object of ridicule when I go back to those things. Like, what if he makes fun of you? But despite the fact that I've been very fortunate to have, you know, some success, Mavis is on a different level where she is just, she is, I think it's safe to say, pretty condescending. And I like going home. You know, I feel comfortable there. And for her, I think it's a darker reunion. She has a lot of ugly feelings, and she feels like she's been slighted. She has kind of a massive entitlement complex, and I hope I'm not too much like her, although occasionally I catch a glimpse and I'm scared.
I find that the movie strangely, I feel like there's a little bit of Mavis in all of us, and
yeah.
The movie is strangely, it's an ugly mirror. You know, a lot of like movies will be a mirror that reflect the good things about you, and you go, oh, there's that great quality in that character, and that reminds me of something in me. This is a movie where you go, wow, there's something really unlikable about her, and I kind of see that in myself.
In other words, huge box office. So get ready. People, lines, get in line now. That's all I gotta say. Boom.
People are going to be in line dressed as Mavis. It's going to be that huge.
The Burger King tie-in is going to be very uncomfortable. It's not going to be pretty. We can't reveal it. It's going to be really rough. They're not happy.
I have a middle question and then also a comment. First, after like the sex scene with all the action figures, was one of those Night Owl from Watchmen? I thought maybe, no? Very similar, if not then.
No, you know what? Oh God, this is so sad that I know this. I think that it was the head of a Battle of the Planets character that was painted, but there weren't any. I know, trust me, because I sat at that desk for many takes, there were no Watchmen figures on the desk, because I think I would have known. There was no night out there. But there are a lot of little visual hidden things that, you know, if you see it like 8 times, I'm sure you'll pick them out. Repeated viewings. Worst promoter ever.
And I just wanted to share this with the audience. It's kind of Capone's fault that the gentleman sitting next to me, after he left, he said, "Was that anything like the original?" My girlfriend and I looked at each other very confused, and he said, "The first Happy Feet." I don't know.
Have a release print made where the title just says Happy Feet too. Watching it like, really? Okay. And then Happy Feet 2 with art and
Anthony Lane of The New Yorker says, "A bold left turn." From the original material. One of the ballsiest sequels ever made.
I expected more singing and dancing.
Look at that hand lit by the light right there. Yeah, I'm pointing at you. You're cinematically lit right now. Let's talk to you.
Thanks so much for coming out to Chicago. Really appreciate it. That was outstanding. The big question I have is, what made you decide on picking the music box for the theater?
For tonight?
Yeah.
We pored over lists of things.
Yeah.
And then finally my hand came to rest.
It's a big argument. I mean, hours of Diablo and I just screaming at each other at the top of our lungs. No, someone locally said this was the place to do it.
They were right.
Hey! I have a question for all of you guys, actually. When you were thinking about the character of Mavis, did you have like a vision in mind of what you wanted her to look like, or did Charlize Theron just kind of kick a look into your head that you're like, yep, that's exactly what we're looking for?
I had always, I don't think about actors specifically when I write something, but I had always envisioned her as this very like Minnesotan, Nordic, tall, blonde, but I didn't, it was kind of nebulous. I didn't have anybody in mind. But I have to agree, when you cast Charlize, I was thrilled because you're like, oh my God, Charlize Theron's in the movie. At the same time, I thought, oh my God, she's so beautiful. Like, how will she ever be an object of pity for anybody that watches this movie? So it's like, shocking for me when I watch it and I see how truly physically and emotionally haggard she is able to become at times, and it's amazing. She's a really amazing actor, and I feel the things that I'm supposed to feel about her when I watch it. So, good job.
Yeah, when I read the script, I pictured Charlize. I had met Charlize, and I knew I wanted to work with her, and I knew that she was funny, and that's something that I hadn't seen her explore in other movies, and I knew she had that one quality that I just brought up about Diablo, which is that she's really, really courageous as an actor, and it's really ballsy to go up.
I thought you were going to say like super hot and fat.
She has qualities I like.
Courageous is not what I want to have in common with Charlize.
Look, there's something I want in every woman that I work with, and they have to be hot as fuck. Ergo. No, she's a ballsy actress, and I knew that she would do this without flinching. And I think a lot of other actors in this part, and I think Patton did the same thing. They shy away from what they're portraying, and they almost are, whether it's very subtle, but they're often winking to the audience and letting you know. By the way, I'm not like the character on screen, just so you know. You can feel that happening, and my favorite performance is when the actor is doing none of the above. They're saying, oh no, this is fucking me. And I knew that's something that Patton would do, and I knew that's something that Charlize would do. And yeah, that was it for me.
Thank you.
How did Patton get involved? How did you get involved with this? It was great, by the way. It was like, you're strong as
What No, I'm not being funny. What was the process again? I came in, we were doing like readings and stuff?
Yeah, basically, I mean, what happened was I read the script, and look, it's interesting, the script for Juno and the script for Young Adult both came into my life at moments when I was about to do another movie. I was literally about to do Up in the Air when the script for Juno came into my life. I thought, Jesus, I need to direct this or I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And I had written a script called Labor Day, which is my next movie, and I stopped that to direct Young Adult. And while I was making that decision, I decided to have a table read at my house where I invited new actors that I knew to come and just read it. I thought, I just want to hear what the script sounds like. I want to bring it to life. And I thought, I knew Patton a little, and I thought, I think he would have a really good voice for this. I think it'd be great. And then we read it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to cast Patton. That's what's going to happen. And then I did a second table read, and Charlize came over, and the two of them read together, and their chemistry was off the charts. And it was actually a very important moment, because it was the moment where I realized this was your guys' love story. And I never really thought of it that way until I was sitting at the table. These are the things that are, and no, but I watched the two of you, and you had this wonderful chemistry from the moment you meet in that bar, and this kind of shared darkness and shared brokenness and sense of humor about anything and not being non-judgmental. And Colette Wolfe, who plays Sandra, the sister, same thing, came to both table reads.
Awesome.
How many of you know who she is, if you've seen her before? Yeah, she was in Hot Tub Time Machine, she was in Observe and Report, fantastic comedic
I was her
actress.
boss in Observe and Report.
Oh, that's right. Great movie, Observe and Report. It got missed. It is a work of genius. You have to see Observe and Report. But she came to the table read and she just knocked it out of the park, and that was it.
That scene with her, so that's my favorite scene in the movie. That scene is unbelievable. She's so great. Oh.
Hey, I have a question for Diablo. I loved the movie, it was so good. I really enjoyed it. I noticed a few things, like the older one, like Charlize listening to the teenagers, listening to how they speak, and the textual relationship. And then that seems, echoes of Juno, and then there's this kind of structure to it that's kind of like United States of Terror, where you're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, like something terrible is going to happen.
Yeah, we got to do that every week.
Yeah, I was wondering how much of that was intentional, like were you trying to comment on it, or were you just kind of like, oh, I want to have these in my, I know this works, or...
Yeah, I guess in a sense it definitely was commentary, because around the time, and Jason and I did so many Q&As for Juno and traveled around, toured with it, and people would always ask me if I would sit around and eavesdrop on teenagers to get the dialogue, and I always thought that was kind of a funny, weird question. And then I thought, as I was writing this, I thought to myself, like, what if this character actually does that? And she's experiencing writer's block, and she goes to Staples and listens to a couple of teenagers making a stupid pun about textual chemistry, and she goes home and plugs it into her book. So I definitely drew that from life. Perhaps there was like a little bit of bitterness in that particular, that was maybe working something out there. And then having, written about a character with mental illness for years, that I have to say, like, I didn't think about Tara too much when I was doing this, but at the same time, I do feel like I've maybe not mastered, but have honed the skill of writing about women having nervous breakdowns. So that did come in handy.
It's interesting seeing a writer write about writers. So my question is, did you know what was going to happen to Mavis at the beginning, or did she leave you there?
That's interesting that you put it that way. She asked if Mavis led me to the conclusion, or if I knew what was going to happen at the beginning. Actually, I did not know. It was, I think Mavis was a little, and this often happens, but I think Mavis, when I first started writing her, was a little more of a sketch and a little less three-dimensional, a little less fleshed out, and then she just kind of started to take shape in a horrifying way. And by the end of the script, I knew what needed to happen to her, but I didn't know that all along at all. And it was, honestly, this was very much a free writing exercise in a lot of ways. I wasn't thinking like, I'm going to write this and I'm going to give it to Jason and we're going to make another movie. It was more just like, I need to get this out, and I did.
Hi, I had a question for Diablo. Was the theme of young adult fiction like a constant from the beginning of the idea? Because it seemed like a lot of the story seemed like something that would happen in the young adult novel. Does that, like, the idea come from young adult fiction?
The theme of young adult fiction was always there, however, certainly not as strongly as it appears in the finished film. The script originally was not titled young adult. The idea of it thematically having some like similarities to like a young adult novel, that wasn't there. That all came along later on. She was always a young adult novelist because at the time that I started writing it, I was also working on this project called Sweet Valley High, which is I'm still working on, by the way. But this was I have this terrible habit where if I'm being paid to do something, I'll go do something else to avoid the true work. And so I've always done that. Yeah, it's not good for business, but it's good for making fun movies with Jason. And I was thinking specifically about young adult fiction, and I was thinking about what it would be like to be kind of a ghostwriter of a series like that, because Sweet Valley High was created by this woman, but then written by these people behind the scenes. So a lot of that did inform that.
I remember actually one of my favorite days was we were in prep, and we needed to create these books. So we were going to have a stack of books in the bookstore of all this young adult titles, and I emailed Diablo. I was like, all right, we need to name it like a dozen titles. And I went to all the people.
8 seconds later.
I say 5 minutes. And like we had like a bet on how fast the email would come back. And like, boom, right back, 12 titles.
It's a secret dream of mine.
They were amazing. Galloping for?
Oh gosh. Galloping toward trouble.
Galloping toward trouble.
It's like on a horse on the cover, and it's like,
she's checking
will
out.
Christine choose the blue ribbon or her sanity?
Those are spectacular. We should do a DVD feature where that has all the different
I have
covers.
the fake books.
Because those turned out amazing.
Actually, I have a technical question. How did you guys do the leg? Did you blow your entire CGI/prosthetics budget on that?
It's interesting. CG has gotten to the point where we didn't need to use a green screen. We literally just put black tracking marking dots on Patton's leg, and we did the scene as normal. And then they did it. I mean, Patton did amazing work with a physical therapist early on.
I had to learn how to. She sent me this horrific piece of paper that was very well researched as to what it would mean to have those injuries and how you would walk. And I had to learn to. The thing that was weirdest was learning that every time my right leg fell, it fell in a different place. I never knew where it would land, and I had to keep that in my head. And I had to do all these exercises after the shooting day where she kind of said, you really got to walk down now, here are some exercises, because at the end of the shooting, if you don't do these, you'll permanently mess up your leg.
Really?
The way you're walking,
You know that lady on ER permanently screwed up her body by doing the limp.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that show? Yeah, and that's why they had her magically get cured like later in the series, because like she couldn't limp anymore.
Yeah.
I just remember when you started to get into it, and I actually got really nervous. I was like, because you started to really get into it. I remember getting some emails from you about everything you were learning. And I thought, oh fuck, he's gonna get all Daniel Day-Lewis about it. I would be like, so Patton, I need you to walk over the chair, and you'd be like, oh, well, actually, I wouldn't be able to walk to that chair. And I was like, oh, come on, Pat, I see, just get to the fucking chair.
And I would say it in an angry Irish accent in between takes. Don't you understand? I can't fucking sit.
What happened?
Yeah, it was weirdly intense, and it made me respect even more people like Daniel Day-Lewis and Lon Chaney Sr., like the stuff they would do physically. I can't believe Daniel Day-Lewis walks around normally with the stuff he does to himself. It's ridiculous, yeah.
That was, but also, I remember, though, getting ready for the sex scene, though, that was the weirdest part of it, was how the hell do you get on top of her in the bed? And having to figure that out was one of the trickiest things I've ever done as a director.
See, I wasn't thinking of any of that, Jason. What I was thinking of was, so I get to be in my underwear next to Charlize Theron in her underwear. This couldn't be like Michael Moore or James Gandolfini. I have to be next to the hottest woman ever with this weird snowman body. That's what I get to do. All right, great. This is my sex scene. All right, awesome. That's great.
Before you get
I can't wait for the Blu-ray. It's gonna be, Merry Christmas, Mom and Dad. country, so yeah.
We have a question back here in the middle of the house.
Oh, yes, hi.